down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
What's going on, Savvy Investors? Yeah, it's been way too long. I don't even know how long it's been. It may be a week or less, but I missed you. Hopefully you've missed me. If you've missed me, you at least should just shout out to your boy. Man, I've gotten real distracted on a property that I'm working on right now and 20 other things. And I'm also honored. I picked up some students that I would never think that would need coaching. We all need coaching. I hire coaches, and it's just an honor to do that. That's derailed me, but because they're important to me. But you listener, savvy investor out there, you're important too. So bear with me. I have about another 30 days on this rehab. It is kicking my hiney. You know, I wrote a book on how to hire a contractor, and I am GC in this deal, and which means general contracting. And it says in the book, I wrote it, you got to be on the job site at least every day. In this case, and sometimes it's been twice a day. And so I haven't done this in a long time. So it's thrown my whole game. It's pushed all other things in the wind of sorts. But anyway, I'm back on it trying. I got a few times before I hit up WizKid, so I'm going to drop one for you. So, how are you? Hopefully you're doing good. So you have a nice tenant, yep, and they're nice, and all of a sudden they like, hey, I have a pet. So Savvy, my boy Jonathan out there, he's like, dude, I know you've covered this before, but hey, what's the pet policy? And I'm like, dude, I'm so glad you asked because I get to do a podcast on it. So here is my take on pet policy. So some of you people, pet lovers, you may think that I'm offensive in some form or fashion. This is a disclaimer, whatever. So I Googled it up for fun. And I think I know you millennials out there, you do that. Your life is on Google. I agree. Google is the bizarre. But I Googled it up, and the first thing that it said pets are not permitted unless an addendum is completed, agreed upon, signed by both tenant and landlord. Pet deposit is additional to the security deposit described in your lease. Tenant, upon paying, landlord said pet deposit is permitted to have the above listed. This is what happens when you are a landlord. You just Google crap up, and this is the crap that you get. What does that mean? All right, let me just tell you what it is. Here you go. In my lease, if you have my lease and it's on the internet, you can get my lease. Go to the SavvyRadioshow.com, go to the store. My lease is in there. I think I'm selling it for $5. I'm not sure how much it is, maybe 10. And this is what clause 14 says in my lease. Bang, no animal of any kind, size, shape, or form is allowed in or on the property under any circumstances unless, there's your addendum, prior written agreement and pet fee, not deposit. We'll talk about that here in a second, has been paid and accepted, aka approved. This statement does not mean if a security deposit is paid that you have an animal. Bang. There are homes that will not allow animals under any circumstances. That's clause 14 in my lease. Does that sound kind of assy? It should be. And it's clear, all right? The one thing that you need to recognize in that clause, it says pet fee. I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, right after that, it says in my lease, now this may not be on my one on the internet. If you have the one on the internet, let me know. This says, this means, this is a new line that I've added a couple years ago. This means no babysitting, no looking after, no helping a lost animal, or any type of keeping of animals on the premises. And we mean no pets. Yep, no pets. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, yep, you just tuned into the Savvy Radio Show, and we're talking about pets. Yes. Listen, you've got to have this stature when you're dealing with tenants. It doesn't matter if it's a high-end rental or a low-end rental or all rental. If you don't get this on locky lock, you will have dog urine everywhere. Yep, I probably offended you. There is cat urine somewhere. And I don't know if you've ever had a bad property where you're trying to clean it. It is easier to not have a pet than try to get cat pee out of a property. You have to sand it down. But I don't want to get into that. So let me tell you some quick things. Now, I'm not anti-dogs or pets or whatever. This is just the clause that we have in the lease. If you do have a pet or you want a pet, we do charge a pet fee. This is a non-refundable $250, sometimes $300 pet fee. Now, another thing that we do, that pet fee is just because we're going to have to clean the carpets. We're going to have to repair some joints or whatever, the jam in a door, the trim, because your dog is going to scratch it, bite it, or do something with it. It's going to happen. So that $250 just covers the minimum. And that $250 that I put in there is just so people would know that we're serious about it. Now, there's a lot of debate on the internet about, service animals, and this is not the episode for that. If that's something that you want to cover, hey, I have an attorney friend. She can break it off for us. But for the scope of this, I'm just telling you how I do it. I'm not saying that you should do it. And my tone may be a little brass, but you got to have to work with me. I'm running out of time. But I want to get the message out. Here's some things that I have in my lease. So it's a separate document about the pet fee, and it has to be written in there. Now, here's some things to protect you. Number one, you need to put the name of the animal on the lease. Ooh, why would you do that, VanCauwenbergh? Well, because if the dog disappears, or if they're babysitting a dog, but they paid a deposit, and all of a sudden there's 3 dogs there, and they paid a pet fee for only 1 dog. Yep, that's right. If you got 3 dogs, yep, I'm charging you $750. Sometimes I'll do $500, maybe $100 after that. But you for sure, the minimum, if you got 2 animals, you're going to pay $500 with our company. I'm sorry, it sounds brash or harsh, but that's life. Now, I'm going to talk about the positive here in a minute. It's just because we've just seen a lot of damage. Now, if you're a savvy investor out there, like VanCauwenbergh, aren't you limiting yourself? Absolutely. There is, guys, ladies and gentlemen, there is, and you probably are a dog lover, and good luck, or animal or cat lover, good luck with that. There probably is a market share that I'm missing on. I get it, right? But here's the deal. You can cater towards dogs or animals and charge a more higher rent. When we do charge, if someone does have an animal and they really want our property, we tell them, great, it's going to be an extra 40. It's a percentage. I'm not sure what the exact percentage is, but roughly it starts at $45 extra a month for your animal, because your animal will charge damages. They will create damages. Now, listen, if I went to a Mr. Landlord conference about 10 years ago, and, why would you leave revenue on the table and not rent the dogs? I agree with that. I've had mixed feelings throughout the years, but we do rent the animals. We kind of make them jump over hula hoops for many reasons. One is we want to see if they really love their dog. It's fascinating. Just like children, people will spend ungodly amount of money, surgeries, pedicures, you name it. People spend money on their animal. Now, usually, if this type of person spends that kind of money on their animal, they're probably going to take care of the property. So this episode's probably written in why it's in my lease for lower income tenants that have pit bulls or dangerous animals, or that they can't pay their rent, but their dog is fed. Okay. I know that's kind of funny, but here's the deal. And the one thing that I come across all the time is that they're pet sitting. Again, as soon as we find out about a pet in a property, we send them a $250 bill. It says it in the lease. This is what you're going to pay. You're doing a lease violation. Well, how do you get over a lease violation? In your law, in your county, in the law, in your state or county or wherever you're at, you have to give them notice, usually 10 days. You can do a 5-day notice or a 10-day notice, usually 10 days to 14 to 15 days. But in Oklahoma, you have to give them at least a 10-day notice that they're in lease in violation, and then they have 10 days to rectify the situation. Now, so how do you select the right tenant that has a pet as well? Well, here are some fun questions that you should ask. Where did you get the tenant? Where'd you get the tenant? Where did you get the pet? That might be a question. It's fascinating when you ask people these type of questions. Well, I found him on the curb. Well, you don't know anything about it. It could be he may not have his shots. How long have you had that pet? For example, I just found that pet yesterday, And how long have you had it? Yesterday, I found it on the curb. It may have rabies, just so you know. How old is the pet? Has the pet ever caused damage to a property? I know this is a bogus question. Get over it. But you'd be surprised. People are integrity. They will say, yes, I have had a pet that damaged the door and we paid for it. Well, that sounds like a really good tenant to me. If they're upfront and honest, I'm going to work with them. If they're going to kind of hide and dodge stuff, that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to get this pulled out of them. Here's another one. Has the pet ever bitten any human or another animal before? Now, no one's ever going to say, yeah, my dog, my pit bull, just, but there's integrity people, just so you need to be aware of this pre-existing condition. Just joking. Who will be responsible for carrying the pet? That's another thing. I've seen this before where they moved in, and this is my mom. They never take responsibility. Hey, if you want to be successful, hey, if you want to be a real estate investor, hey, take effing responsibility. It's hysterical when I come over to a property or I hear about a property. Yeah, this is my mom's dog. I'm just watching it for a minute. Yeah, right. Or for the week, or while they're out of town in Tahiti. Whatever. You're paying $250 or the dog needs to leave right now. Here's another question. Who will care for the pet when the owner's not in home? What's your, vacation plans? Where do you take your dog for dog sitting? Is this you're going to have a random person come over to the property and unlock the door? We need to know. Does the animal have proper vaccinations and licenses? See, if you just ask those six or eight questions real fast, you will either scare that person, and that's probably what you need, because if they scare them, they're hiding, okay? Or there'll be a great conversation. Yeah, I got a blank, blank, blank dog and blank, 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 and then it seems kosher. But you got to get that ball rolling. Then you find out what type of dog it is and how many pets. You got to ask that question. When people try to slide in a pet deposit, they just may slide in one pet under that $250, but they may have 3 or 4. Again, I let them very clear on the front end. If there is more than one pet that you're paying for and then that pet has not been approved, and how do you approve a pet? Well, you can ban dogs from dangerous breeds list. Again, I've said this before in other podcasts. Listen, if you have shelter insurance that I'm aware of, that they do not cover dangerous breeds. And I'm going to go over these dangerous breeds, but one of those dangerous breeds is pit bulls and Rottweilers. Well, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to you? Let me tell you what that means. If there's a pit bull on that property, your whole insurance that covers that total asset is null and void. Now, if you had a storm come through, and it tore off your roof, now shelter insurance may say, if you have a dog in the property and it's not covered. There's a loophole in their insurance for them to not to pay out. Who is the most profitable organization in the world, right? Besides the government, right? It is, and I know I'm just joking, all you fun political people. It's not profitable government. It's nonprofit. Just trying to be funny. But here's the deal. Insurance people are profitable and they don't lose. Yes, we just had Hurricane Harvey. They may get dented, but you know what's going to happen? Tomorrow, they're going to raise everyone's insurance across the United States of America. And guess what, party people? You and me are going to pay for that damage. Thank you, Harvey, for making us all fun and gravy, because we're all on the same team, because insurance people don't pay. That's what they do. They profit. They never lose. They're going to tell you tomorrow, oh, blank insurance company lost $20 billion. Yep, you know what happens? Government steps in and helps them and refines them back. Rates go up. I don't want to get into it, but you need to be prepared. You need to know what your boundaries are and what you're dealing with, okay? And here you go. Here's the dangerous breeds list, and you be very clear on this. This will vary, but so check with your insurance company. Dangerous breeds generally include pit bulls, Rottweilers, Doberman pinschers, chows, Akitas, Alaskan Malamutes or Mulmutes or Mutes, German Shepherds, Siberian Huskies, St. Bernards, Wolf hybrids, and a mix of any of those above. So how elusive is that conversation? Listen, guys, I'm sorry. I have been all over the place. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to get it done. I'm glad that you tuned in to the show. If there's a subject, for sure, if there's a question, it's easy for me to knock those out, and I would love to help you in any way I can. Other than that, you go out there, Don't do dangerous breeds so you can save money, so you don't get burned on insurance, so you can go buy assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.